I joined another workshop,
Yes,
which
yes.
was a summarized group discussion and responsive situation.
Very good. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming
Okay,
back.
okay, thank you, thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
and welcome. Welcome back. And hello, Caesar. Hi, Caesar. Is it your first time to join our workshops? So, for everyone who's here, thank you for joining us. Welcome. We're going to wait a minute more, all right? So, let's give the others a chance to join. And yeah, after that, we can start. And for those who are here, welcome. I welcome you and thank you for joining our workshop for today. If you don't mind, for Rajib and Caesar, you may write in the chat. Please let me know if you are currently preparing for the PTE exam, and if you already have a target score or you have a target date, and also if you are planning to work or study abroad. Okay, so just let me know in the chat. So for today's session, it is grammar focused. You know, grammar matters when we are speaking and writing. In the PTE exam, it is essential that we are mindful of our grammar because your word form, your article usage, your precision in grammar, these are key grammar issues that often reduce your scores in the exam. If you are not yet preparing in depth for your PT exam, this workshop is also going to be very useful for you because we are targeting two tasks here today, speaking and writing. All right, so it will be beneficial for you. The activities that we have for today will give you a chance to identify, correct, and improve your grammar in uh, real life contexts. And for those preparing for the PTE exams, you'll be able to practice it in realistic exam style contexts. All right, so let me share my screen and we can start. So, our topic for today is Fix Your Grammar. We're going to look at three tasks today: word forms, using articles, and precision. Precision means using accurate words. And if you're writing an academic text, being able to include academic vocabulary, right? Okay, so our workshop objectives for today: by the end of the lesson or the session, you will be able to identify correct common grammar issues that affect PTE scores. You'll be able to practice using accurate word forms, articles, and modifiers. You'll be able to improve clarity and precision in both writing and speaking tests. And of course, understand how grammar affects scoring for both written and spoken responses. Okay, so let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Christine. I am one of the PTE trainers here on E-English. I have 19 years of teaching experience, during which I've guided students into reaching their target scores in PTE, IELTS, TOEFL, TOEIC, and Cambridge exams. So today I'm very excited that you are all here. We're going to make the most of today's session to help refine your grammar, which can aid in boosting your PTE scores. All right, let's look at our first task, first activity for today: how to spot word form error. So what is this? What does word form error mean? It occurs when the incorrect form of a word is used in a sentence. So we all know from our primary grammar courses that a word can come in different parts of speeches. All right, so you can say noun or verb or adjective or adverb and many others, but these four here are commonly confused or mistaken. So if we can spot these errors quickly in our writing and speaking, it will significantly improve our scores in the speaking and writing test. So what am I talking about? Let's take a look at some examples here. Decision is a noun, okay? The verb form is decide. You would often say to decide, or I decide, or he decides. The adjective form is decisive. He is decisive. He is indecisive. The adverb is decisively. Okay, so does anybody here have any questions about what's a noun, what's a verb, what's an adjective or an adverb? Or do we understand basically how they are used? If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask me. You can also type it in the chat if you have any questions and would like to or would prefer to write it down. Okay. So any questions? Do we all understand the function of a noun? What's a noun? A noun names, a verb is about action, right? An adjective is describing, and an adverb modifies a verb or another adverb in a sentence. So what are the common mistakes? Using a verb instead of a noun. This is a common mistake. For example, make a decide is wrong. Instead of saying make a decision. So if we are aware that the noun form of decide is decision, we know that when we want to write or say make, it requires a noun, make a decision. Okay. Another common mistake is using an adjective instead of an adverb. He spoke confident instead of he spoke confidently. Now, sometimes it is a pronunciation issue. Sometimes in your mind, you really intended to say confidently, but it doesn't come out. And that's where another course on our platform on pronunciation can help you. All right. So sometimes it's not a grammar error. Sometimes it's more of like you just needed to practice saying it clearly to be able to get the words out or to sound the words out. But if it is a grammar issue, then it would be helpful to understand that when we use a verb, he spoke, what you would say after that should be an adverb because an adverb modifies or tells something about a verb. You can check that by asking yourself, he spoke how? In which manner? How did he speak? He spoke in a confident way. He spoke confidently. Okay. So, yeah, so being aware of these common mistakes can help us a lot. Now, there is another common mistake. I sometimes hear some of my students say, I decision. I decision. Can anybody tell me how to correct this? How can we fix this error? I hear I decision. What should we say instead? Anybody?
I
Decision. Let me
decided.
go. Perfect. Thank you, Reggie. Decision is a noun. So we want to change it to a verb. I decide. I decided. It depends on which verb tense you need. Thank you. Well done, Reggie. Okay. Here's another example of a common mistake, common error that I hear with word forms. Okay. I hear something like, teacher, I need to take English lessons because I need to communication with a lot of foreigners. So we can see an issue here. Can anybody tell me how to correct this? What is the error? What is the word form error? And what should we replace it with? I need to communication with a lot of foreigners.
I need to communicate.
Perfect. I need to communicate. So it is an issue of using a noun instead of a verb. Mhm. Okay, perfect. So let's move on. Here's a tip. Always check what function the word needs to perform in the sentence. And I know sometimes it's confusing. It can be very confusing. I'll give you one more example later of how some words might make you think, should I use this word or the other? But in essence, you should be able to pinpoint if the word you need should be a naming word, or a doing word, or a describing word, or a word that modifies another verb, or an adjective or an adverb, right? So it's like usually we use adverbs to say how or in what manner. Okay, here are more examples. He made a quick decision in. Now, I understand why someone might say this because we do have some words that function as a noun that end in ing, and we call them, anybody? It starts with G, ger, gerund, right? So there are words that look like a verb, and when we add ing, we can use it as a noun in a sentence. Those are gerunds. So maybe this person is thinking, I know the word decide, and what is the noun form? I don't remember. Maybe it's decisioning, because I can say swimming is one of my hobbies, or I can say traveling is one of my biggest dreams, right? So how we can help you is that we can give you some words. So in our courses here on English, we can give you some words. We can help you practice with the words that would likely come up in your exams, or if you are preparing vocational English, those words that are industry related. So you get the words, so you get to boost your vocabulary um, with those words that are essential, right, for your needs. So that's how we can help you out. Now let's go back to decisioning. He made a quick, should be a noun, decision. Okay, so if you already know that the noun form of decision, of decide, is decision, then you can easily use decision when you say this sentence, because you already have a verb, made. Made what? So you're naming it. Made a decision, a quick decision. They motivate by fear is not correct. They motivate by fear. And how do we correct that? They are motivated by fear. Okay. So one thing here is that we're using an adjective. You have your verb are. Motivated is an adjective. So you are, they don't motivate, but something else motivates them. So this is like a passive sentence. Okay. It's like a sentence in the passive voice. Okay, perfect. Any questions so far? All right, let's take a look at the third example. Her explain was confusing. Can anybody tell me what part of speech is the word explain? Is it a noun, verb, adjective, or adverb? It is a verb, okay? Verb. Explain is a verb, but we don't need a verb here. We need for what was confusing. So you're looking for a naming word. Her explanation was confusing. We need a noun. We need a noun here in this sentence. Okay, perfect. I mentioned earlier about decisioning because there are verbs that look like a noun. That is when we add ing to them. So here's an example of that. Let me type it here. So in the word analyzing, or analyzing, and analysis. These two words can both be used as a noun. All right. Can anybody use it in a sentence? You can unmute yourself, give me a sentence, or you can type it in the chat. One sentence using analyzing as a verb, as a noun, sorry, as a gerund, and analysis as a noun. Can they be used as nouns? How? Any ideas? Analysis, the result or outcome of the process of analyzing. Analyzing, the process or act of identifying some data and understanding what it means and interpreting it. So here's an example. For example, analyzing data took hours. Analyzing data took hours. It is used as a noun. Analyzing here is used as a noun. You can use it as a verb. He is analyzing the data. But you can use it as a gerund as well. Okay? And analysis. Her analysis was insightful, for example. So analysis here clearly is a noun, right? The minor difference is that when you say analyzing, it's a gerund, it's a process. You're talking about the process. And when you say analysis, that's the result, okay, of that process. Okay, any questions? We're going to do a simple exercise here for identifying word form errors. So here you can see a paragraph. Please read the paragraph silently. Go over it and identify at least 6 correct word forms. There are more than 6, but if you can identify 6 or less, yeah, that would be great. You can type it in the chat, and later we'll go over the correct answers, okay? So please, I'll give you a couple of minutes to take a look, identify the mistakes. If you're typing it in the chat, you can type the word that has an error, and opposite it, give me the correct form. Okay, so the errors might be in noun forms, verb forms, adjective forms, or adverbs. If anybody is ready to share his answers, please feel free to share your answers here. All right, so who would like to have a go? Please tell me one error that you have spotted. Anybody? So let's see. Marielle, Caesar, Rajib, who is it?
I think
Marielle.
challenges.
Hi. Challenges. Oh, great. So, university life presents is an error actually, presents many challenges. Perfect. Thank you, Marielle. Excellent.
Welcome.
That is correct. So we have to change challenge to the plural. Hello, MG, MG. So I recognize your name from last week, from our workshop last week. So welcome back. We are working on grammar today, grammar for speaking and writing. And in this exercise, we're trying to identify errors in the use of nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Marielle, can you tell me one more? Can you spot another error?
Academic expectation.
Expectations. That's right. So, keeping up with academic expect. It doesn't sound right. Expect is a verb, so we need to use the noun form expectations. Excellent. Thank you, Marielle. Anybody else? How about Rajib? Rajib, have you spotted some errors? And Caesar? And so, okay, so for the others, please write your answers in the chat. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the correct answers. Here we go. Marielle, may I ask you to read the whole corrected version, please?
Okay. University life presents many challenges for new students. Adjusting to unfamiliar environment, managing their own finances, and keeping up with academic expectations requires strong adaptation skills. While some students feel overwhelmed in the beginning, most eventually develop resilience and become more confident in their abilities. Extracurricular involvement often provides an opportunity for personal growth and social interaction, both of which are essential for building a supportive community. However, without consistent motivation, it is easy to fall behind in coursework, which can impact long term academic achievement.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Marielle. You may now mute your microphone so that our background will be a little more quiet. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So, yes, what we've seen here, let's do a side by side comparison. Most of the errors were in uh, verbs, using verbs instead of nouns. All right. So, what have we learned from this exercise? It is important to know the noun forms as well, especially when we are writing or when we are writing an academic text. Yes, there might be a need to know the noun forms of academic vocabulary. So it is very useful to have this kind of practice. All right, let's move on to our next activity, articles. Now, articles are small words, but they are powerful words, and we use them a lot. We use them a lot in speaking and in writing. They do help define whether something is specific or general, and they are commonly tested in PTE grammar. So, if we understand how articles are used, and if we have a clear understanding of when we should use these articles, the definite articles and indefinite articles, or if we shouldn't use any, then it'll make your writing precise. Okay, it'll make your writing accurate and you'll score higher in your speaking and writing tasks. So, what's a definite article? The definite article is the or the, depending on how you're using it in the sentence. Okay, so depending on the word that follows, we would pronounce it in two ways. We have the teacher, the final exam. We use the when referring to something specific. So the key here is if you're talking in general, or if you're talking about something specific, or if you and another person know exactly what you're talking about. Hello, Fat. Welcome, Fat Tran. Yes, I believe this is not your first time joining our workshop. Am I right? So, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. We are talking about articles. When do we use the article the or the? So we're talking when we're talking about something specific, when you're talking about something in particular. All right. Indefinite articles are a or an. In spoken English, it matters that you know when to use a and when to use an. All right, but it's something that we've learned in basic grammar courses as well. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to ask. But I would assume that everybody here can use these two indefinite articles. We use them to refer to something non-specific. So if you don't have any particular book in that you're talking about, you're just saying a certain book. Then you can use the indefinite article a. An idea, if you're talking about a certain idea, but none in particular, then you can use the indefinite article a. All right. So the is for something specific, and you're talking about something in particular, or you and another person already know what you're talking about. A or an for something that is non-specific or not something in particular, just a certain thing, such as a book or an idea. How about when we shouldn't use any? Zero articles. Sometimes we use no article at all, and this is the easiest, okay? When you are talking in general and when you are using uncountable or plural nouns. So obviously, a or an means one. And if you're talking about more, then there is no need to use an article if you're talking in general. So, for example, education is important, not the education is important or an education is important, but you're talking in general. Education in general is important. Books are useful. Okay. So when talking in general, we don't need to use articles. What are the common errors? We're seeing common errors in using the article the definite article the, when referring to something in general. For example, the technology is changing quickly, and it should be better to use uh, to write this sentence without the article. Technology in general is changing quickly. Okay, so I see someone coming in. Welcome, Romis. Feel free to type in the chat if this is your first time joining our workshop. I welcome you here. And you may also tell me if you are currently preparing for the PTE and if you have a target score. Okay. And if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. Okay. Technology is changing quickly. No article needed because we're talking about technology in general. Another common error is omitting an article, the missing article before a singular countable noun. When we're referring to a certain thing, we need a or an. He is teacher. He is a teacher. You're talking about you're trying to mention that this person is one teacher or a certain teacher. He is a teacher. Okay, so be mindful of needing an article where it is missing. Okay, where you might be mindful of when an article is missing where it is needed. Okay, and the last one is misusing a or an. So an university is not correct. What is the correct way? What is the correct article to use here? Anybody? Why is an university incorrect? We learned that use a before words that begin with consonants and use an for words that before words that begin with vowels, right? University starts with a vowel, but why is it wrong? Anybody? A plus consonant, an plus vowel. University is a vowel, but why not an university? The answer is because we're not looking at the letter, we're looking at a sound. Okay, and in university, this U starts with a consonant sound, U, university. So that's why it goes here, a university. Okay, a uniformed officer. And that also happens here with H when it is silent. For example, an honest person. Okay, even if it starts with a consonant letter, but the sound is a vowel sound, honest. So we have to use an before a vowel sound, not a vowel letter. Okay, so that is the answer. Now, if your listener knows exactly which one you're talking about, you're going to use the. In the beginning, you're going to use a or an. I saw a movie last night. What's the title of the movie? It was this movie. Yeah, I've seen that too. What do you think of the movie, or what do you think of that movie? So here are some examples of the correct usage of articles, definite, indefinite, and when we don't need any articles. Can I get a volunteer to help me just read the sentences? Anybody? Can anybody read all the sentences here? These sentences all use articles correctly. Who would like to read it? I haven't heard from Caesar and Romus and so and Fat. Would any of you like to try? Rajib, would you like to try? Just read the sentences.
Yes, I read an interesting article yesterday. First one. The second one is she works as a teacher. Third one is the book you lent me was excellent. Fourth one is the students must be responsible. The last one is he gave the correct answer.
Very good. Thank you, Rajib. I just want to be clear that for the fourth sentence, we don't have an article here. It's a general statement. In general, students must be responsible. I'm not talking about one particular student or that particular student. So all students must be responsible. There is no need for an article here. All right. So let's go over why not I read. So this is read. This is in the past because we see a time expression here yesterday. I read an interesting article yesterday. Why can't I say I read the interesting article? Why can't I say the? Why should I say an interesting article? Because it is not specific. I am not ready to share yet Which particular article? I'm starting my story and I'm saying that I read a certain interesting article. So, in the beginning of my speech or when I'm talking to someone, I would use the indefinite article. Once we start talking further about it, when referring back to it, we might use the definite article. Though, okay, she works as a teacher, okay, as one teacher. How about the book you lent me was excellent? Can I say a book you lent me? Because I want to say one book you lent me was excellent. Can I say a instead of the? No, we cannot say a because it is specified. I specifically mean that the book which you lent me was excellent. Okay? And then students must be responsible. It is general. Can I say those students? Yes, but in a different context. Okay. If it's a general idea, just say students in general. And he gave me the correct answer is definite. Okay, here's another exercise on the articles. Please look at the paragraph below, read it silently, and choose. You can write it down in the chat if you want. Choose the correct article, or if there is no article needed, then feel free to say so. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of minutes to take a look. You can type in the chat your answers. If you are ready to share your answers, you may unmute your microphone and share with me the correct answer. Later, I'm going to show you the corrected version. Okay, who would like to share? Yes, please, Romis. Is it in the chat? Nope. Do you want to unmute your microphone and tell me? Who would like to try? In
In the digital age.
in the digital age. Excellent. So let me share the corrected version. In the digital age, students often rely on online sources to complete assignments. However, not all information on the internet is reliable. Teachers should encourage development of critical thinking skills. No article needed here to help students evaluate sources effectively. For example, reading an article published in an academic journal is more trustworthy than browsing random websites. In many classrooms, an emphasis is placed on speed rather than accuracy, which can lead to a decline in writing quality. To combat this, schools should implement strategies that promote careful editing and use of appropriate grammar, especially when using a second language. Okay, can I say, so I have a cheat for you. I have a like a hack. Okay. When you're in doubt and when you are confused or when you panic because there is a time limit in writing and you're not sure whether to say the digital age or in digital age, right? So a hack is that actually you can use other words such as pronouns, or you can also change it to plural if you're not sure and you can't decide on the spot. So I can say in this digital age, okay? But when talking about the use of articles, the correct article to use here is the definite article. Okay. And another example is here, reading an article. Let's say you're not sure if reading the article is correct or reading an article. You can change it to a plural. Reading articles published in academic journals. Okay. So that's just a little hack. But to be precise, of course, if you want to write exactly what is meant to be written, then of course it is still very useful to understand perfectly the use of these articles. Okay, let's move on to precision. Precision with modifiers. When you're practicing your writing, at first or in the beginning, it's easy to write vague sentences or general sentences or basic sentences. But be mindful of this because it can reduce the impact of your writing. In the PTE writing tasks, clarity and specificity can increase both your content and language use scores. So let's have a little practice today on how to improve your clarity and precision. One way to do this is to add modifiers to expand your sentences further, and it can help write with more precise and effective responses. What are the modifiers that we can use? So below you can see 3 examples. Adjectives. Adjectives are a very useful tool to describe a noun. Instead of saying a strategy or an issue, you can expand that further by describing what kind of strategy. It's an effective strategy. It's a serious issue. Okay? Adverbs. We can use adverbs to modify verbs. I strongly believe it is carefully considered. And one more very, very useful tool is using phrases, prepositional phrases, clauses, relative clauses. These are really useful in writing an essay with sentence fluency. So in the previous workshop that I hosted on writing, I mentioned that sentence fluency is important. It will make your writing look more creative and well thought of, well written if you vary your sentences. So using compound sentences, complex sentences in between shorter sentences can really make your writing uh, look interesting, okay? And it can improve your score. So phrases and clauses can help expand your sentences, not only to be more precise, but also to explain your thoughts further. So for example, students. But what kind of students? Students who study regularly, or in cities with high pollution levels. Okay, here are more examples. Let's say I said students participated. We can expand it further with the use of modifiers. Enthusiastic students actively participated in the challenging group discussion. Okay, participated in what? In a discussion. What kind of discussion? It's a group discussion that is challenging. Okay, another example of a basic sentence is we gave a presentation. What kind of presentation? It's a well-researched presentation. It's visually engaging. And on what topic? On environmental policy. Okay, why should we use modifiers? Apart from the fact that they make your writing more specific and vivid, they help you show exactly who, what, where, and how. Okay, And of course, it improves your score because you are showing an academic tone, you're showing clarity, you're showing a strong command of grammar and your writing skills, and you know how to specifically explain your ideas or even your opinions. Okay, so let's take a look at an exercise. All right. In the next page, I'll show you an essay, okay, in which the bold sections, the words in bolds, are not specific. They are too vague, they're too general. Your task is to make them clearer, to make them more precise by changing or expanding or adding modifiers. Okay? The the writing prompt is many students feel that online learning is not as effective as classroom learning. Do you agree or disagree? Here is the sample writing. Take a look at the parts in the bold, and if you have any ideas, feel free to unmute yourself and tell me how we can make it better. Online education has become very common. Many students don't like it. Can we expand further this expression? What kind of students? And what do we mean when we say don't like it? Does anybody have an idea, a suggestion on how we can improve this part? Many students don't like it. Can we change many to another word that is more precise? Sometimes it's just a matter of rephrasing or replacing the words with something more accurate or better sounding. So, for example, instead of many, you can say a significant number of students. A significant number of students don't like it. It's basic, so it's vague. How exactly can we explain that they don't like it? Maybe we can say that they express frustration with what? With the lack of face-to-face interaction and real-time feedback. Okay, in an online class, in an online course. Okay, the next part is some people say it is not as good as classroom learning. So when you're using good, not good, there are always multiple ways on how to expand that and to make it more precise. Okay, not as good. Can anybody change this one? Some people say it is not as good. Not as good in what way? You could say something like some people argue that online learning is less engaging and less effective in promoting deep understanding compared to traditional online classroom instruction. Okay, how about the third one? Uh, Online classes can be difficult. So we want to be able to showcase that we can make the sentence more precise by adding modifiers. Online classes can be difficult. What's another way to say that online classes are difficult? What's another word for difficult? And then after you replace this word, actually you can keep the word and expand it further by explaining more. But we can say it's challenging, okay? Online classes can be challenging due to technical issues, limited peer collaboration, and distractions at home, okay? And the last one is also some teachers don't like them either. All right, this can improve. This can be improved. How can we refine this part? Anybody? Also, some teachers don't like them either. Maybe you can say, additionally, some educators find it difficult. to build rapport with students or assess participation accurately in virtual settings. Okay, in virtual settings. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? All right. So now we come to our last grammar challenge. Here we have a paragraph with all the grammar issues. There are 10 errors in total related to word forms and article use. Let's see if you can identify them. So here's the paragraph below. Some students today have access to large amount of information online. However, without proper guidance, they may struggle to find, hold on, let's switch here. Okay, struggle to find reliable source. It is important for a teacher to give support and recommend useful material. In the past, educate was limited to classroom, but now learning can happen anywhere. This improved in flexibility allows students to study at their own pace. But even with advanced technology, face-to-face teaching still has value. All right, so let's help each other out and identify the errors, spot the errors. Anybody, please, you may unmute your microphone and feel free to share your thoughts. Pick one error and tell me how we can correct it. One error. Rajib, can you see one error? Marielle, Fat, So, and Caesar.
Yes,
Awesome. Go ahead.
I think the first error is a large amount of information not S.
Correct. Perfect. Correct. Thank you. Thank you, Fat. Well done. Well done. I think Rajib was also trying to answer. Do you have another answer, Rajib? Okay. So, Pat, you are right. Information is uncountable. So we don't add S to information. Information does not have S. Okay. We also see a little error here, to a large amount, okay, to a large amount of information. Okay, so let me show you the corrected version. So students have a large amount of information online, have access to a large amount of information online. We also see a mistake here in reliable resources. So this should be in the plural form. It is important for teachers, plural form, to give support and recommend useful materials. In the past, education should be a noun, was limited to the classroom. We have definite, right? It's a definite article. Was limited to the classroom. But now learning can happen anywhere. This improvement, changes to a noun, and flexibility allows. So we have allows here, singular form, singular verb. Students to study at their own pace, but even with advanced technology. So advanced should be with an ED, adjective. Technology is a noun. And face-to-face teaching still has singular verb and has value. So we're talking about teaching here. Yes, actually the noun and verb agreement here, the subject verb agreement here is also essential. Okay, so that is our corrected English. Okay, so for your self-study practice, why not try to incorporate all of the things we've learned today in an output, right? In an output production. You may write a short introduction paragraph for one of the prompts that I'm going to show on the next slide. Um, if you feel comfortable, you can share your paragraph um, to us, or you can come back to us and show us your writing. Okay. And let's see how you can apply precision, correct word forms, and the use of articles. So here are your prompts. You could choose many believe that schools should focus on more job related skills rather than academic knowledge. Do you agree or disagree? Or some people think that social media has a negative impact on real life communication. To what extent do you agree or disagree? All right, so feel free to write it and you can send it back to us. We're going to give you feedback on your writing. Okay, so that's the end of our presentation for today. Let me just share some takeaways, key takeaways and tips. Grammar is actually essential, both in speaking and writing. Your mistakes in grammar can lower your fluency and content skills. If you focus on clarity and precision, that can help improve your output, your written and spoken. What we did today was to look at some common errors and how to spot errors on articles, word forms, and modifiers. These are the common weak points, but there are also others, and we are ready to help you learn them all, okay, in our courses. And finally, practice with real examples, not just drills. Practice writing, okay? And it can help you as well. So I'm going to send you a link here in the chat. Please feel free to fill out our survey. Okay. And for those of you who would like to, hold on. Okay. And for those of you who would like to join more of our courses, I welcome you to contact Hannah, to contact us on our website and our Facebook and WhatsApp, because we English teachers are waiting for you. What sets us apart is we specifically design our courses that can help target your desired scores. And if you are preparing, if you are learning English for work abroad, we also have vocational English courses in hospitality and service industries. All right. So here's more information about us. Please catch the discount. Okay, this month you still have a chance to grab our discount this month. And how to do that? You can scan our QR codes, and we'll get back to you. Okay. And for those of you who are going to write your essay today, submit it. And I personally am going to take a look at it and give you a detailed feedback, corrections on how to improve, and anything else that you might ask. Okay, so you may also copy Hannah's information here. She has shared in the chat her WhatsApp number. Okay, I'm ready to answer any questions. Thank you so much, guys, for participating. Rajiv, thank you so much. Mariel, thank you so much. And Pat as well. And for the others, I know that you have gained knowledge from our grammar points today. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. And we are here, Hannah and I are here, and we will be waiting for your questions in case you have any questions about our courses or how to sign up for our classes. Also, please share your email because you will be receiving the recording of today's session and a study guide. Okay, we can give you a study guide. Okay, any questions? Mm. So if there are no more questions, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for coming. Please come back next week for our other upcoming workshops. Right? So check the information on our Facebook and website as well. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.